Avengers Age of Ultron, the sequel to my favorite movie of all time, a movie beloved by the masses, and a film that disappointed many. It had so many expectations to meet that it disappointed a lot of people, and the taste on their mouths has been soured over time. Welcome back to my Geek Classic reviews of Age of Ultron. We are on the road to Infinity War. This is our last stop, and of course, as always, these reviews will have spoilers. Now, despite that disappointment by many, Age of Ultron still has a lot of people that love it. A minority for sure. I, for one, am proudly a part of that minority. I've talked enough about the first Avengers. It's my favorite movie of all time, guys. And that film was a celebration. It was a 4th of July-like fireworks display celebrating what they had accomplished and the bringing of those characters together. But with this movie, that had been done. Age of Ultron needed to do something different, something more. It needed to push the characters to the next level, and that is exactly what it does. This is a somber, darker, introspective look at the characters together and separate, their experiences and their impact on each other and on the world. And due to that, Age of Ultron goes back to excel at what Marvel movies excel most at. You've heard me say this a ton of times throughout my Geek Classic reviews, and that is at being a character piece. There's a clear understanding of the impact the Avengers had on the world, both on the narrative side and on the meta-narrative side. From the very opening, not only do we see how the Avengers have grown on their teamwork skills, we see them as global heroes and not just local heroes. Starting with the invasion of the Hydra base in Italy.
Language.
Then in the chase scene through the streets of Seoul, South Korea.
I'm always picking up after you boys.
To the ascending island that is Sokovia by the end of the film, recreating the extinction level event that was the meteor that killed the dinosaurs.
Of it. The inevitability. You rise, only to fall.
Go, go, go!
There's a lot of characters in these scenes, as well as a lot of shooting on location and amazing stunt work in display. I do love how the action in this film is so much more practical than in the first movie. Gives it more weight, makes it more grounded, and it just is amazing to look at. You can see the actors pouring their heart and soul, their physical bodies take a toll in this film, and you feel it in the characters because the actors are doing it themselves, and subconsciously we get that. But as I said, this movie is a character piece, as most Marvel movies are, and in those movies we have many things in common, and one of those things is themes. There are underlying themes in Age of Ultron, unlike the first Avenger, which didn't need any. This one does need them and does have them. And let's start with the most underrated element of this film, the villain himself. Beginning as a keep-piecing program created by Tony Stark to protect the world as the Avengers never could, many saw Ultron's quick birth as something that was very rushed. And I can get that, but to me it came across as something that shows how volatile and uncontrollable he truly is. Plus, it also shows the true power of the Mind Stone, in which Ultron comes in contact with to give birth to himself, to make himself a body and spread his mind throughout the whole wide web. He becomes a true menace because of that, and the first scene where he has a body is eerily scary.
I'm sorry, I was asleep. Or I was a dream.
Reboot. Legionnaire has got a buggy suit.
Terrible noise. And I was tangled in strings. Had to kill the other guy. He was a good guy.
You killed someone?
Wouldn't have been my first call. But down in the real world, we're faced with ugly choices.
Who sent you?
I see a suit of armor around the world.
Ultron.
In the flesh.
Ultron is a delightfully evil, super intelligent, psychotic killer robot, and James Spader played this role to a T, delivering every line of dialogue with sadistic glee, and the dialogue on Ultron is damn excellent. And while in the comics Hank Pym was the one who created Ultron, in here it's Tony Stark. A small change, but it makes a whole lot of difference. In this instance, Ultron actually has a personality. To be precise, Tony Stark's personality. He's much more than just a cold, calculating murder machine. He's a reflection of Tony Stark's personality, perfectly fitting into Tony Stark's character arc. Also, Ultron in this film is educated by the internet. He used it as a means of learning as he browsed it as soon as he came to life. That combined with Tony's personality makes him a brilliant but pretentious as fuck teenager. He's immature, he's short-sighted, he's monumentally conceited, believing himself better than others because he knows that he knows everything. He's a brilliant commentary on modern society and how many people on the internet view themselves, and that makes him one of the best and most fascinating MCU villains. I mentioned this before, but he wants to annihilate the entire human race to the point he recreates an extinction level event that killed the previous species that inhabited planet Earth. There's nothing subtle about that god complex that Ultron has, and he's powerful to the point that he even creates his own character, the Vision, who he himself is a character with a subtle but great arc throughout Age of Ultron. Because after all, this Vision is Jarvis, a character who has been in the MCU since the very beginning, much like Tony Stark himself. He's also a creation of Tony Stark, aka in this case, the Tony Stark AI that didn't go bad. He's the perfect antithesis to Ultron, literally powered by the Mind Stone and the embodiment of one of the film's main themes: we create our own demise. Or better said by Ultron himself,
Everyone creates the thing they dread.
we see this as Hydra's testing of the scepter brings the Avengers down on their doorstep. We see this as Tony's paranoia in trying to protect the world creates Ultron. We see this as Ultron's delusions of grandeur create the one being who can and does destroy him. And there's also a great mini-meta narrative going on with a very composition of Vision. He has a body made of vibranium, like Captain America's shield. He is Tony Stark's tech and Bruce's scientific expertise combined in his mind, powered by the Mind Stone. And he is brought to life by Thor's lightning. And I cannot not mention this, he has the jaw-dropping moment of the film.
So there may be no way to make you trust me, but we need to go.
I still remember watching Age of Ultron the first time, and this moment was an audible gasp throughout the entire theater. Myself included. But they are not the only new additions on the film. We also have Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. And much like Ultron himself, they are creations of Tony's past mistakes. And Ultron knows this, and very cleverly he uses them to mold their visions on the world and on the Avengers, to guide their actions through rage and vengeance. And the casting was key here, like it is for every big character in these films, because Elizabeth Olsen and Aaron Taylor Johnson are great actors who can convey a lot of emotion with little words. And the characters fit organically into the narrative without ever taking the attention away from the Avengers or Ultron. And yes, we must talk about what everyone made a big deal about, and that is Quicksilver's death.
You didn't see that coming.
The argument here was that, like in Days of Future Past, Quicksilver's speed would allow him to outrun the bullets. Here's my counterpoint. The bullets on a motorized machine gun fired by a psychotic, super intelligent killer robot who can calculate where to shoot the bullets at so he can actually hit Quicksilver are much faster than the ones from a handgun. Point made. Yes, that is my counterpoint, but even above that, My true counterpoint is that the story demanded it. These characters are here to serve the story as they are always in any narrative, and Quicksilver's death served the story. Especially because this is another of the film's main themes, the price one pays in trying to do what's right. Like Tony reaping what he sowed throughout the film, to the point where Captain America himself even foreshadows this death right before the climatic battle on Sokovia.
Ultron knows we're coming. Odds are we'll be riding into heavy fire. And that's what we signed up for. But the people of Sokovia, they didn't. Ultron thinks we're monsters, that we're what's wrong with the world. This isn't just about beating him. It's about whether he's right.
Ultron in this film is actively trying to annihilate every human being on the planet. Of course, someone had to die. Quicksilver's arc as him as a misguided villain who by the end becomes a hero who's learned from Cap and the other Avengers. His arc also gives emphasis to Wanda's, as his death ignites her powers so she can deliver the killing blow to Ultron, who in this film is absolutely portrayed as someone who is unstoppable and all-powerful.
If you stay here, you'll die.
I just did. Do you know how it felt? It felt like that.
Now, if this isn't power, I don't know what is. But speaking of Quicksilver, here we thought Hawkeye was going to die in this film. It was so brilliant for Joss Whedon to do this. Hawkeye's arc is shrouded in misled, constantly being beaten down, showcasing his vulnerability, and him constantly eluding his retirement, which works especially in the farm scene with the reveal that he has a meaning and a purpose beyond being a superhero.
Honey? I'm home. Hi. Company. Sorry, didn't call ahead.
This is an agent of some kind.
Gentlemen, this is Laura.
I know all your names.
That's what the best characters in these movies do. They are something other than just a superhero. And this is a beautiful moment, not only because we have time to breathe amongst all the chaos, but it brings so many things together. But even beyond that, Hawkeye does shine in the action sequences in this film. He kicks a lot of ass throughout the action sequences in this film from beginning to end, and he even pokes fun at his last outing in the first Avengers.
I've done the whole mind control thing.
Not a fan.
The film expertly shows why his humanity is what makes him an asset to the team and not necessarily his archery skills. The reveal of his family also perfectly summarizes his relationship and dynamic both in and out of the field with Natasha. We saw in the first movie and continue to see here Black Widow's constant worry with Hawkeye contrasting with her otherwise very tough exterior. But with the reveal we understand she is living vicariously through Hawkeye the life she desires most. A normal, happy life with a family. The one thing she can never obtain. This realization to me gives this character an immeasurable amount of depth. More to the point where she sparks a relationship with Bruce Banner, of all people. Something that feels organic and natural, and it fits perfectly into their characters and who they are and the point they are at in this film. It truly is a perfect combination, given that they both see themselves as monsters. They are classically written tragic characters, and they try to harness the tragedy that struck them as a force for good, making them relate to one another, which in their case is not a common occurrence. And what makes their relationship so natural and captivating is exactly that. They know they can't ever truly be together or have a family. They understand this is a doomed relationship. But despite understanding that impossibility, they still struggle and desire to achieve this, and it's this struggle that makes them so compelling throughout this film. And on the more symbolic side, I love how Black Widow is the one that can bring out the Hulk's humanity, aka Bruce Banner. And that is just an example of how much we see of both sides to this character, the Hulk and Bruce Banner. We see both their dynamics come into play within the team, as we see the Hulk kicking a ton of ass throughout the film, being awesome, showing how powerful he is. You guys know the Hulk is my favorite character. And while he is not himself at this point, I still say the Hulk versus Hulkbuster is still one of the very few moments in cinema I can put on a list of moments I nearly pissed myself at. That fight has no equal to this day, and I can only imagine Infinity War doing something to even equal it. And on the Banner side, we have a whole ton of exploration of his passions, his failures, his aspirations, him and Tony actively searching for a cure. Bruce himself even creates the Hulkbuster system that tries to stop the Hulk. And the conclusion of his arc is still heartbreaking when the Hulk goes into the Quinjet. He knows there's no hope with Natasha, but also he understands that in the attempt of trying to make the Hulk a hero, he was turned against his friends and the world twice. And I love this moment where we see the Hulk realizing something after the fight he had with the Hulkbuster in South Africa. That right there perfectly captures the moment where Hulk realizes he'll never be seen as a hero, and to keep the world and his friends safe, he must stay away. He forsakes his chance at happiness with the one he loves for the greater good. That right there is a hero. That right there is a perfect capture of who Bruce Banner and the Hulk are. Their dynamic and the relationship they have with the Avengers and with each other. Now let's move on to the God of Thunder, Thor, who I also love, but whose role in this film has also been the target of major criticism. And I can get behind you on that, but let me present you another point of view. He's the one who understands the Infinity Stones the best. He's the one who sees more than what meets the eye naturally. He's an ancient god who understands thousands of stories throughout time in the whole of the universe. And his bathtub Vision Quest scene, yes, exposition heavy, I will back you up on that 100%, but it still works for me, because it serves this film. It serves Infinity War more than anything else, but it serves this film still. Why? Because it's due to these visions, it's due to Thor's understanding of this whole mythology and weird science fiction-y fantasy element from the comics that is present throughout these films, that he trusts the Vision. And that's why it makes sense that he trusts the Vision. And our character, though, we mentioned throughout this review, very spreadly so, that is Tony Stark. We've mentioned him throughout because he fits two kinds of role in this film. That is the protagonist and the antagonist. His arc is incredibly broad as he creates but also tries to stop the threat, and he himself embodies another one of the movie's main themes, the blurry line that divides what is being a hero and what is being a villain, something that has plagued Tony Stark throughout the whole of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Tony is the one character who doesn't stop and sulk when he makes mistakes, and we have seen he makes a shit ton of them. He keeps on trying to fix them until he actually succeeds at that, because contrasting with the other Avengers who are searching for who they are and their place on the team, Tony is the one character who has accepted himself for who he is, and that is, for better or worse, a mad scientist. And yes, I left Captain America for last because he is the team leader, as Tony himself says.
Lab's all set up, boss.
Oh, actually, he's the boss. I just pay for everything and design everything and make everyone look cooler.
What's the word on Strucker?
But also because he doesn't have much of an arc. And that is exactly what his arc is about. He's the one who needs to be centered, control his emotions, despite the frustrations the ones around him keep on creating. He's the glue holding the team together, as he was always meant to be after the world has turned against the Avengers, because, and especially after the events of the Winter Soldier, there's a subtle but very sad realization when it comes to Captain America. Besides the fight, he doesn't have anything else. He doesn't have a wife, he doesn't have a home, he doesn't have a day job. He has nothing to return to when the fight is done. This puts him in direct contrast with Tony Stark, whose whole arc is about trying to stop the threat for good, and they capture it perfectly in one of many people's favorite scenes, whether they love or don't this film.
Earth's mightiest heroes pulled us apart like cotton candy.
Seems like you walked away all right.
Is that a problem?
I don't trust a guy without a dark side. Call me old-fashioned.
Well, let's just say you haven't seen it yet.
That scene is so great for both these characters, even if you had just seen the first Avengers, and in this one, there's no way you don't want to watch Civil War after this confrontation. Age of Ultron is an intimate look at the characters we've fallen in love with, as there's a lot of time given to them voicing their feelings and concerns in being Earth's mightiest heroes. It's filled with meaningful, beautiful sequences that explore their psyche, fears, and regrets. We started full throttle in a scene that reintroduces us to these characters in the most amazing of ways, and we end up in an amazing as well sequence that makes geeks' pants wet.
How can you possibly hope to stop me?
Like the old man said. Together.
I still cry when I see that shot. Every time I watch this movie, tears come out. And I cannot end this review without asking, how many single scenes can we attribute to capturing who characters are, and so many characters in one single scene? This is one of my favorite scenes in the film, and one that is purely character driven.
Oh, please be my guest.
Come on.
Really? Yeah.
Oh, this is gonna be beautiful.
Clint, you've had a tough week. We won't hold it against you if you can't get it out.
Still don't know how you do it.
Hawkeye, the relaxed one, but still eager to meet a challenge.
Oh, no, that's not a question I need to.
Black Widow, the one who calls herself unworthy. Bruce, powerful on the inside, but still a dork on the outside. Tony Stark, the one who never takes shit seriously.
You're all not worthy.
Thor Odinson, always the proud one.
Come on, Cap.
And finally, Captain America, the man who is seen as a hero by everyone except himself. Avengers Age of Ultron is a deep, introspective, and dark character piece while being a gigantic, fun, and exciting come-together of the universe at the same time. It's a significant adventure for the heroes and the universe with repercussions that we are still to see the total endgame of. It has fantastic arcs for all the characters, and it has significant changes that drastically change their paths moving forward from this point. I love Age of Ultron. It has meant a lot to me since day one. I know I'm in the minority, but I will proudly say that to me Age of Ultron is the stuff that dreams are made of. What did you think of Age of Ultron, my beautiful geekies? Were you disappointed? Are you in the minority with me loving this film? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know if I did a good job at presenting you my point of view, and if you understand why I love it so much, why it meant so much to me. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below, and let me know if I forgot to mention any of your favorite scenes or sequences or character moments in this film. And once more, thank you so much. We have reached the end of the road to Infinity War, because I am leaving Ant-Man for right about when Ant-Man and the Wasp comes out. I reviewed every single film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe besides Ant-Man, and I can't wait to catch you guys again on Infinity War with many other reviews coming this week. So I can't wait to see you in the next review, and until then, you stay beautiful, you stay geeky, and if you haven't done so yet, click the subscribe button and the bell so you can be geeky united!